The biggest problem if you suffer with anxiety or depression is you feel that you're alone. Too many people take it to themselves to try to fix things, and they're just not sick enough. So, what you need to do is you need to get support in order to be great at it today. My name's Nick Tabor. I'm a personal trainer. I talk about this stuff on this channel of anxiety, depression, health, and wellness because I've lived through all of it. Now, I have suffered anxiousness all my life. I've had so many bouts, and I've had times where I haven't really been able to even get out of bed. And of course, this was a while ago, but you know, the thing that we all do is that we all forget that other people have suffered in the similar lights. Maybe not going through the exact same thing that we are going through, but there is some similarity going on, or anything that could be possible. It's not downplaying what you're doing, it's just what you have. Someone else can help you. And if somebody has been through that, you need to emulate what they do in order to be better, in order to be able to work things out. Now, I remember when I was a teenager, I think I was a genuinely pretty good kid, but I was actually I was a psycho, what do you call it? A I lied a lot. Let's see, I can't think of the words, but I lied a lot. I was a compulsive liar. That's what I was looking for. So I had anything that I could say to be able to protect myself would have been easy to do. And I lied to my parents on some things, and it wasn't really like catastrophic things. It was stupid stuff that I lied about. And I because I was afraid of what they may think. I remember I was so anxious when I was in high school to try to get this group of people to like me, and they this was I so I was crack up when I tell this story. This was a time when it was late 90s, and everybody had the frosted tips on the top of the head. And we all had that little blonde look, like everybody wanted to be one of them Backstreet Boy looking dudes or whatever. Um, and I went to the mall that weekend, and I got this like little $3 bottle of hairspray, and or hair dye or whatever, and I just put it in my backpack, and I when I got home, I immediately ran, like pretend I had to go to the bathroom, and I ran into I hid the stuff, and then I sprayed it, put a bucket hat on, and I ran to school, and I'm like, I take it off. The buddy of mine who was friends with the people who I was trying to fit in with, he looks and goes, "Dude, your hair's green," and the sun in the hat turned it, and I'm all anxious and thinking, I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, why did I do this? This is stupid. And I just, like, I hid, and I went home and I washed all that, like, it was temporary spray, so I washed all that out. And then finally, like, I didn't tell my parents at all. And then finally, like, later in the week, they went to they went to a meeting, and one of the teachers let it out that I had hair dye. And they came back, they admonished me for it. And my mom's like, I'm not even mad, but why were you anxious? Why didn't I'm like, well, I was afraid that you would judge me, and I made the assumption in my head that they would judge me, so I hid everything, and I learned to hide a lot, where it's like, we wouldn't have had a problem with your hair dye, but we're just kind of mad that you chose a cheapy little thing of hair dye. Let us do it, let us figure it out. I'm like, oh, okay, like there never really was a hard fast rule of never do this, but it's just be open. But I was afraid they would judge, right? And, it's a really funny story, but it's just, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, no, they never would get it. They never would understand. And, friends of mine were like, yeah, dude, we do that all the time. And, we are afraid of what our parents, I'm like, wait, you guys are afraid too? And, when you're a teenager, you think your parents, well, hopefully you think the world of them, but you think that they're the meanest people. Maybe they're dumb, or maybe they're wonderful, or whatever. But it's just they're like your parents are your parents, and then like no one else's. So when you hear that other people have issues, or hey, so I don't want to know what my parents think, or I don't want to know what these people. Wait, you have that too, and that's just one example. But there are many others like it. I'm sure you could think of it yourself. But there are three steps. If you're feeling you're alone with anxiety, there's three steps that you can do to be able to get around it. And number one we have is to build a tribe. There's a lot of videos on this channel where I mention that. One specifically I did a while ago on how to build a tribe. But what you can do for this, and this is the beauty of the age that we live in, is you can go on Facebook and just look up support groups or something in the area or anywhere. I mean, hell, when I was a teenager, it was chat rooms. It was really odd, different rooms. There's social media before social media. That shows my age. But go find a people who know what you're doing. Maybe they don't. Maybe you had, like we talked about earlier in this video, about find somebody who is like that or how they did it. But I always believe in emulating people who have gotten through your issue that you've had. Maybe you have friends who have gone through that problem. Maybe they couldn't talk to their parents or something. Okay, how did you establish that? And then work that out. I mean, Facebook's probably one of the better ones because that's in the moment, and most people in groups, you know who they are eventually, and obviously you're drawn to it because there's similar interest, so maybe there would be help. Number two, with anxiety, what you've got to do is you've got to put a professional plan together. I am a firm believer in everyone having physical therapy, having therapy in general, to be able to talk things out with people. If you have a high anxiety where you cannot get out of bed, maybe you do need to speak with your physician or speak with somebody to be able to really work out something with medication or whatever you may possibly do to be able to be better than where you are right now. You might need that as a start. But put a professional plan together. Talk with someone. Talk with a trainer. Talk with anyone. Anyone who has been through it, or medical professionals, depending on your issue, or anybody else, to be able to help you, guide you through, and mentor you through the right way, depending on what your issue is. Number three, exercise regularly. The best way of getting out of anxious thoughts and anxiety is to exercise and go through, even if it's just something general like walking around or walking to work every day. The worst thing with anxiety is just sitting idle in one position. So what you've got to do is just get out and exercise, because what that does is that recycles everything in the brain and changes the brain around and hits that same nerve center in the brain that hits food and sex. It really will help you just release those endorphins, and those chemicals will calm the anxiety down. And with all three of those, you should be able to really get down. You will get out of your anxiety. And there's a lot of people in the gym who use it for mental health reasons. So go to a gym and get what you got to get done. And with your anxiety down, you will become an amazing person. I wish you well with it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I want you to take a look at the next video, which is right around here. Go ahead and take care of that. You have a wonderful day. Go ahead and clap.